Hi everyone! For today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to braid 4 flat mesh chains into a gorgeous stunner bracelet. I love this project because it uses virtually very little materials to make a wow, stunning piece for your wardrobe. Speaking of materials, if you're wanting to know what materials I'm using for tonight's video, you can check out the video description in this video. and welcome to my channel. My name is Nilay Patel. I'm the owner, designer, and educator here at SilverSilk and More, bringing you guys fun and fabulous tutorials as always. I want you guys to do 2 things before we get started with our tutorial today. The first is to destroy that subscribe button on my YouTube channel. And then the second is if you're actually looking for more inspiration with what to do with SilverSilk, you can follow my Instagram. I've got tons of projects on there that I've posted, some really cool reels that show the process behind SilverSilk, and then just some great general information that you might be inspired from. So without further delay, let's get started with today's project. I have some really great tools here that I'm going to talk about first that's going to be used for today's project. So the first is a pair of cutters. These are my handy dandy Lindstrom cutters that I've had, as you can see, forever. They've got my wear and tear on it, but they are amazing. Really cut through silver silk and metals perfectly. So I recommend having a pair of these or just a pair of cutters that you love. I've got a pair of chain nose pliers and a pair of wide nose pliers, and both are from Weber's. My wide nose pliers are covered with Tool Magic. This prevents any abrasion happening between the findings that I use or any other metals that I don't want to scratch whenever I use these pliers. So good to have them on hand. As for materials, you just need a few different SilverSilk in flat mesh. These are 4 different colors, and I've cut roughly about 8 or 9 inches. In the video description, I think I said a foot, but it's always better to have more than less, I think. But I've got 4 different colors in, let's see, we've got antique copper, gorgeous, right? We got this bright, shiny copper color, just to complement that tone. I've got dark rose, which has copper elements in it, but with a reddish tint. And then I've got olive. So I've got a really great earthy palette here to work with. And sometimes SilverSilk, or at least the flat mesh, can kind of come a little bit crimped. So I recommend whenever you take it out of the spool and you're ready to use it, you cut it to the length that you want it to be cut at. And then you can actually just run your fingers right through it, you know, sort of just gently pressing between your thumb and index finger and just straightening out that wire. And you'd be surprised at how really nice and straight it gets, and it's ready to handle and to do virtually anything with. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all my pieces of SilverSilk here. Okay, just sort of just preconditioning the wire, getting it ready to go. Beautiful. And then aside from my flat mesh chains, you'll also need these slider tubes. Now, these I grabbed from beadshop.com, and they are amazing to have. Traditionally, they've been used for bead woven projects for seed bead bracelets and, you know, maybe even leather to be able to be slid into the little gap that's there and then just crimped in place. And so I thought, because these are similar items to SilverSilk, sort of, I tried to use SilverSilk with it, the flat mesh, and it worked perfectly. So I'm gonna basically be using all of my pieces of SilverSilk here to slide in. So you can kind of arrange the colors that you want in what order. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because, again, it is going to just be braided together. Oh, also, I forgot to mention that I do have a magnetic clasp that I chose to put on this design, as well as just a couple jump rings. So materials-wise, this is really all you need. The rest of it is just handwork. So let's go ahead and start sliding in our SilverSilk. Whenever you do cut this, there are little pieces of wire that are sort of kind of connected, but not quite connected to the actual longer piece here. I call these little pieces wire fuzzies. Haven't really determined a technical name for them, but wire fuzzies seemed appropriate. But you just want to remove all those whenever you do cut your whichever chain that you're using, whether it's hollow mesh, whether it's capture chain, flat mesh. Remember to remove all of those little wire fuzzies and just get them out of the way. They kind of get in the way of crimping, and so you want to make sure that your wire is really clean and good to go before it goes into any crimp. Alrighty, so I'm just going to slide that in. Oh, also, I should mention that I actually did end up widening out my tube slider here at one end just by pressing against my chain nose pliers and making sure that the heads sort of stay separate there whenever I'm pressing it in. So this just helps to kind of slide everything in a little bit more easy if that one end is a little bit wider. So all of the rest of these wires have been sort of conditioned and all of those wire fuzzies have been removed. So you can just slide those in. It'll be a little bit loose here at the tip point here, but that's okay. That's only because, again, we've widened that little tube on that end. So now what I can do is go back in, use my wide nose pliers to gently just press all this together. And by that, I mean press my tube just a little bit together. As you can see, it definitely came together there. And because my pliers have the tool magic on them, which I got from softflexcompany.com, by the way, it's not going to scratch my tube finding there. This is a little bit hard to kind of press in. So what I do on that end is I just sort of start to press it in, but then I just use my surface of my table to punch it in place and it stays perfectly solid. So that's how you slide in 4 strands of flat mesh. And so now I'm going to show you how to braid it. So let me grab these tools out of the way just to make sure. Okay, so this can get a little bit confusing, so we're just going to take it step by step. We're going to take our green strand, and I'm going to work from my right side to my left side. I'm actually right-handed, and so if you're left-handed, you may end up doing quite the opposite and going from left to right. But the concept of the weaving process is very much the same. So I'm going to go under, over, and under those other 3. So you can see that it wove right through. I'll give you guys a little close up there of that's what it should look like. And so now I've got this off to the side, which is exactly where I want it. Now I'm going to start to weave with the copper one now in the same manner, but instead of going over my next strand, I want to make sure I go under because that's how it braids together. So under that first one on the starting on the right side, working toward my left, over the next one, and then I'm going to go under the green and have it exit out. So the idea here is that you have virtually 3 strands that you're braiding against each time, and that excludes the one that you're braiding with. So here again, just starting with the one that I have on the right and working toward my left. So I'll go under, over that green one, and then I can actually just pull that copper one right over and it braids it against it, just like that. So you can see that just this weaving process is going to make everything braid together. And then I'll just continue weaving the rest of these 3 or 4 chains together. Okay, so I've sort of reset after braiding all 4 of my chains. I have it back to where it was in the beginning with my green, copper, antique copper, and dark rose. So again, I'll just go under, over, and under that last one. And this will require a little bit of patience, a little bit of replays, and just a lot of practice, you know? Braiding is not something that's easy to do. I get it. And it took a lot of time and effort for me to learn this to even teach you guys. So I encourage watching this replay as many times as you can if you're struggling with this project. Okay, under, over, and flip that last one right over it. But as you can see, that braid just works out so well in incorporating many colors together quite easily. If you've got a lot of scraps, this is a great way to use them up. Okay, I'll go under, over, and I'll just pull my dark rose right over, so it looks like that. So it kind of looks like these three are together on this one side, and then I've got this one that I just braided over. So until you start to braid with the next one, that's when you can really pull this one over and get it realigned again to look like this. Hopefully this is helping you guys. Again, just I think watching the replay from the beginning will help. And if you did get the braid right off the bat, then kudos. It's not easy to do, but it is pretty cool. Okay, as you can see, I'm approaching the end of my bracelet here. And you can weave this as tight or as loose as you'd like. And you'll definitely want to measure it against your wrist or the wrist that you desire measurement-wise before you're crimping it all at the end. Keeping in mind that the clasp adds a little bit of extra length to your design. So I feel like this is pretty good for me. I've got a tiny wrist, a little baby wrist, so I think that looks really good. I might even wear this. This is awesome. So yeah, that looks really good to me. So one tool I didn't get to tell you guys about, because holding this stuff and trying to get it into that slide tube is a little bit of a process, but I'm going to use a chip clip to actually hold everything in place. Sort of my little cheat there. But this is great because now I can kind of trim up all the ends, get it nice and clean, and not have to worry about stuff falling out of place. And I'm just going to do like a 1/2 inch above and then kind of go back and loosen up my braid once it's all attached together. Okay, so I'll just kind of gently clip everything in place. I'll go ahead and just shake out as many of those wire fuzzies as I can. I'll go back in and do a little bit of more detailed fuzzy removal with my chain nose pliers. Hopefully you guys have some chip clips at home. My parents used to collect these. Well, they still do. Let's be real here. And give me a bunch too. So this one's probably from circa 1990 at some point in time. It's okay though. It came in very handy, mind you. Okay, so because this is magnetic, I'm actually just going to remove that one side. And then I believe I've already actually widened this just a little bit, but just to show you guys, I'm going to widen that just some. So that looks really good. That looks like it's perfect for me to slip through all of my mesh here. So I'll just go in one at a time and just kind of slide them through as best as I can. What I wanted to do was actually catch both of these together. So let me start again. If you get it aligned just right, you can actually slip all of them right through. And sometimes that might not happen. But again, just take it slow. Do the best you can. If you get a couple of those in, maybe you can remove it and then comfortably work with just the two. At least even just to trim it, it is super helpful to have that chip clip in the process. Oh, that looks so good. And that worked out. Can you see how much is in my slide tube there? There's plenty there to really crimp it in place. So I think I'm in great shape. Okay, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to just squeeze this to where it feels nice and secure. Once I've done that, I can go in and actually just press this down. And then again, just using my table and then just punching it down. And I can go ahead and kind of work out my braid just a little bit to get it nice and tight there at the end where I wasn't able to. But let me get all this stuff out of the way. That is how a braided bracelet looks like with flat mesh. And if you're really wondering about color combinations, I went ahead and finished this piece as well. And you can kind of see the difference of something that's more earthy, earth tone, easy to wear, can be really for anybody. And then if you're wanting something more bright color, you know, have that personality to be able to pull it off, then I think, which I don't think I do. Maybe I do. I don't know. My shirt's pretty loud, so maybe I could wear these other brighter colors. And I've got 15 colors in my stock of flat mesh, so the possibilities truly are endless. And that concludes my demonstration. So let me pop back the picture of what it's going to look like. And I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. It was my pleasure teaching it to you. Again, that braiding is going to take a little bit of practice and finesse, and you have this video to replay over and over again to really learn that concept and technique. If you're looking for even more tutorials, you can definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I've got quite the library that I've built over time with the different flat mesh, pearlesque chains, capture chains, hollow mesh, everything under the sun with SilverSilk and more. And don't forget to follow my Instagram where I have additional inspiration if you're looking for more ideas on what to do with SilverSilk. That's a great place to go to and follow. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I will see you again very soon for the next tutorial, and I hope you have a very creative and fabulous day. Love all of you. Mwah. See you later.